Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips a balance in favor of fair use. Okay, you guys. This is about a child custody case regarding a Scientology child and Scientology family. Stephen Allen Kent has a lot of really good information out there. I don't know if he's still practicing. He is a sociology professor at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. He would be very, very old if he still is. I mean, he may be retired. I don't know. I, Stephen Allen Kent, of the Department of Sociology, University of Alberta, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, T6G 2H4, will say as follows. 1. I am a sociologist by profession, specializing in the area of alternative religions. I am a professor of sociology at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, where I have worked for the past 10 years. I have been a full professor of sociology since July 1997. Prior to that time, I held various positions as assistant and associate professor in the Department of Sociology. I maintain adjunct professor status in the Department of Comparative Literature, Religion, and Film Media Studies, which means that I can co-supervise graduate students and have some of my sociology courses cross-listed for students in religious studies. I teach classes on the sociology of religion at both the undergraduate and graduate level. My particular area of expertise is in an area variously called new religions, alternative religions, or sectarian groups. Scientology is among the groups that I have studied. In addition to these normal academic studies, I oversee a restricted access collection of primary and secondary material on alternative religions, owned by the University of Alberta Library, which includes Scientology material. Back then, that's where you had to find things out, is the library. I still love the library. I hope they never close. Never, never. 2. I began formal studies in Scientology along with at least 5 other groups. In 1986, when I received a grant from the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada to study cults and new religions in the country. Wouldn't you guys love to know where that originated? 3. One of my articles on Scientology has appeared in a peer-reviewed journal, Scientology's Relationship with Eastern Religious Traditions, Journal of Contemporary Religion, 11, number 1, 1996, 21 through 36. I refer often to the organization in other articles that I have published on related sociology of religion topics. These additional articles include 1. Deviance Labeling and Normative Strategies in the Canadian New Religions Countercult Debate, Canadian Journal of Sociology 15, number 4, 1990, 39, 393-416, 2. New Religious Movements in the Sociology of Religion, a Canadian Focus. New York, Butterworth, 1993, 83 through 106. I'm going to stop reading the citations. We don't need all that. Social Control and Alternative Religions, a Familial Approach. Sociological Analysis 53, number 4, in which I am second author with Robert Cartwright, 4. Crimes in Encyclopedia of Religion and Society, edited by William H. Swatos, Jr., London, Altamira Press. Deviance, an Encyclopedia of Religion and Society, edited by William H. Swatos, Jr., London, Altamira Press. 6. When scholars sin, alternative religions and their academic supporters. Co-author with Teresa Krebs. I continue to research and write about Scientology and other groups. 4. I have given invited talks on Scientology to audiences in Germany, and a Germany parliamentary committee invited me to present information to it about Scientology in September 1997. In that presentation, I spoke about my concerns around Scientology's operation of forced labor and reindoctrination programs called the Rehabilitation Project Force, or RPF, and its even harsher and more punitive Rehabilitation Project Force's Rehabilitation Project Force. These are programs that elite Sea organization members enter after internal trials or high-ranking leaders find them guilty of crimes against Scientology. The RPF program is of particular interest to the parties involved in this case because credible evidence exists from a number of sources that Scientologists have placed children as young as 12 years old. I want to interject, you guys. Far younger. I've heard of Scientology children as young as 5 and 6 in the RPF on this harsh and abusive program. 5. By 1993, media reporters began calling me in order to receive my opinion on topics about which they were working. That was when we had more free press, you guys. It was a little more free. Since then, newspapers in Canada, the United States, Switzerland, and Germany have quoted me about the organization. Similarly, I have spoken on radio and television shows about Scientology in Canada, the United States, Germany, and Australia. 6. In light of my training and professional work, I consider myself qualified to speak about broad issues involving Scientology and children. Concerns about Scientology's impact upon its children. Listen up, everyone. All these people putting their head in the sand, including ex-Scientologists. You need to do the hard work and understand how abusive it really is. Wakey, wakey. 7. Concerns about Scientology's impact upon children fall under several categories. Well, A, auditing. Auditing. B, children's contact with someone who is hostile to the Scientology organization. He's talking about a critic. I think the predators are in Scientology. Often they're the parents. C as in Charlie. Belief that auditing can eliminate various physical illnesses. D as in Delta. Time demands that interfere with parents' time. And the parents are allowing it, by the way, in a manner that adversely affects their children. E as in Echo. Possible neglect of children. And F as in Frank. Security checking. Yeah. How many sec checks was Nathan Rich subject to? 8. My sources of information about Scientology and children are A. American St. Hill Organization, the Auditor, Issue 269. B as in Bravo. John Atack, A Piece of Blue Sky. Scientology, Dianetics, and L. Ron Hubbard exposed. Oh, he mislabeled it. There's another B. B as in Bravo, Church of Scientology International. That should have been C as in Charlie. Anyways, the Scientology Handbook, Los Angeles Bridge Publications. C as in Charlie. CSI, Church of Scientology International, 1988, The Command Channels of Scientology booklet. Oh, that might be interesting for me to go find. I'm going to take a screenshot. D as in Delta, Hubbard L. Ron, Security Check Children. Yeah, I read that. Didn't I read that one, you guys? I think I did. It's beautiful, you guys. It's child abuse written right into the policies, which according to the United States is unlawful, but nobody's doing anything about these unlawful policies. In L. Ron Hubbard, The Technical Bulletins of Dianetics and Scientology, Volume 4. Los Angeles Scientology Publications, 1976. E as in Echo, Hubbard L. Ron. Revised at the request of the Church of Scientology International. PTS, Personnel and Finance. Hubbard Communications Office Policy Letter of 12 May 1972. Revised October 1982. Don't you guys wonder who was doing the revisions? Inquiring minds do want to know, don't they? F as in Frank, Hubbard Research Foundation. From the research and lecture materials of L. Ron Hubbard. I know this is dry, you guys, but I'll get through it. We need to know the references. G is in Gallon. Kent, Stephen A., Brainwashing Scientology's Rehabilitation Project Force. Revised version of a presentation at the Society for the Scientific Study of Religion. That was 1997. H is in Hotel. Kent, Stephen A., Scientology, Is This a Religion? The revised and corrected version of a shorter presentation given at the 27th Deutscher Evangelischer Kirchtag, June 20th, 1997, Leipzig, Germany. I is an Igloo, Miller Russell, Barefaced Messiah, the true story of L. Ron Hubbard. Every single Los Angeles police detective or every LAPD officer and detective should read that book. 9. In addition to these Scientology and critical sources, I also have read the affidavit statements of Brian Ronald Wilson, Christian Suzgo, as well as draft statement by the respondent, name deleted. I will make a few comments about these statements toward the end of this document. I cite documents from Scientology's Office of Special Affairs. You know, where Rinder worked. Allegedly worked. 10. Auditing. Scientology's own material states that auditing can be applied to children soon after they can talk. Isn't that great, you guys? And the United States government and all these world governments, they're like, oh, that's okay. No problem. And train your toddler's mind. Take away any free will they have. Child Dianetics, for example, states, the criteria for starting formal auditing are that the child, I'm gonna screenshot this to you guys. The criteria for starting formal auditing are that the child understand the significance of prenatal life. Can you guys believe this? Know about birth and realize that repeated running of a painful experience will dispose of it forever. Well, how'd that work out for you, Hubbard? Weren't you on every drug there was known to man? When the child is willing to face a mild pain in order to avoid later pain. Yeah, like, I guess that's why the children need to scrub the toilets with toothbrushes. Formal auditing can begin, which, by the way, costs people lots and lots and lots of money the auditing costs. I think that's one of the biggest baits they have is the auditing. And I think that's what they do when they're going up the bridge to total freedom. In the case of seriously disturbed children, you guys know what they think of disturbed children? They call them degraded beings. If they have autism or any type of mental defect or any type of challenge, they're ostracized and treated horribly. Formal auditing may, of sheer necessity, be started before the child understands these things. Right there, that's abuse, you guys. Can you imagine taking this makes me want to cry. Taking a young child that has some type of, I don't like disability, but some type of challenge. Maybe it's a mental health challenge. Maybe they're not cognitively fully developed. Maybe they have a physical impairment. And it's okay to audit them even if they don't understand Los Angeles Police Department, Child Protective Services, Department of Human Services, Los Angeles. That's from Child Dianetics on page 86 to 87. This passage indicates, therefore, that Scientologists are to believe that auditing of children is in the children's best interest. They all sign off on it. All of them do. Some of them protect their children. We've heard about that. A lot of them do not. 11. According to Scientology's own material, one source of problems for children that will cause them to register negative experiences, which Scientology calls engrams. Yeah, that wouldn't be from the abuse that they're enduring, would it? In a part of the mind that Scientologists call the reactive mind. Yeah, by the way, Scientologists, you create your own reactive mind, just so you know. I just saved you thousands of dollars. Is parents who have neuroses. Imagine that L. Ron Hubbard, with all of his mental illnesses, is dictating this to people. As Hubbard said in Dianetics, aberrated, irrational, or manifesting engrams. Parents are certain to infect their children with engrams. Is that what you did with your child Quentin? L. Ron Hubbard, who had a very suspicious death. I believe it was not bluicide. The aberrated parents implant their mutual aberrations in the children. Dianetics, page 167 to 168. More dramatically, auditing supposedly can uncover the aberrations that mothers committed against their fetuses in prenatal periods. It's always against the women. You guys ever notice this? Always against the women. Forget that women are bringing the babies into the world, right? It just gets so tiring. One of the prime sources of bad memory is mother. Of course it's mother. You see what they're doing? They're inverting the beauty and the love of the mother. That's what they're doing. It's law of reversal, Aleister Crowley. Often enough, mother has been sufficiently panic-stricken. Is she now? Now he's reading women's minds. At the thought of Junior's recalling just what she did to Junior. That a Mackinidvide, I don't know what that is, some idiotic thing he made up. Aberration seems to have sprung up. It sounds very German. The standard attempted abortion case nearly always has an infanthood and childhood full of mama, assuring him that he cannot remember anything when he was a baby. She doesn't want him to recall how handy she was. If unsuccessful in her efforts with various instruments, you guys know that Hubbard was obsessed with it, right? It's very occultic, dark occultic. Sick. In the normal course of work, the auditor will have his hand full of mama, screaming objections about her grown sons or daughters entering into therapy because of what they might find out. Hubbard Dianetics, page 237. Paranoid until the end, wasn't he? 12. Statements such as this one imply that many children were born despite mothers' failed attempts at self-induced abortions. Can you guys believe this? Not that mothers don't want to have their babies and love them, right? It's Moloch, you guys. Dianetics, of course, is a foundational book for both Dianetics and Scientology. And the existence of this passage, which Scientology's founder wrote, programs children to have this alleged memory. 13. Children's contact with someone who is hostile. You know, anyone who questions, that's what they're talking about. To the Scientology organization. Scientology defines a suppressive person, or SP, as one who seeks to suppress. What they actually are people who ask questions, including children, or squash any betterment activity or group. Church of Scientology International. Oh, who wrote the books in Church of Scientology International? Don't you guys wonder who wrote those? Scientology Handbook, page 426. By this legal action, the respondent, name deleted, would be, according to Scientology, a suppressive person. 14. This designation has important implications for the manner in which Scientologists would view the children. Again, according to Scientology's definitions, they would be potential trouble sources because of their continued relationship with their mother. As Scientology defines the term, a potential trouble source, abbreviated PTS, is a person who in some way connected to and being adversely affected by a suppressive person. He is called a potential trouble source because he can be a lot of trouble to himself and others. Church of Scientology International Compiler, Handbook, page 426. "15. More specifically, a PTS type 1 is one who is associated with or connected to a suppressive person in his present time environment." By the way, that could be a relative that questions something. That could be a friend. That could be a police officer. That could be anyone. By connected is meant in the vicinity of or in communication with, in some way, whether a social, familial, or business relationship. Church of Scientology International Compiler, Handbook, page 428. 16. According to Scientology doctrine, Scientologists have the ability to progress in auditing damaged by being in contact with suppressive persons via potential trouble sources. This includes children, you guys. Consequently, one accepted Scientology strategy is to attempt to get the potential trouble source to cease contact called Disconnecting in Scientology from the Suppressive Person. As a Scientology publication states, after discussing how the organization had canceled the disconnection practice in the past. Right. The tool of disconnection was restored to use in the hands of those persons thoroughly and standardly trained in the technology of handling suppressives and potential trouble sources. Church of Scientology International. That's the handbook, page 440. Consequently, the respondent name deleted has every reason to fear that in unsupervised visitations, her former husband would try to get the children to turn against their mother. They always do. Kidnapping anyone? They basically just take the children from the mothers or fathers. If the mother or father leaves Scientology for whatever reason, or is kicked out, which doesn't happen that often, they just take the kids, which is illegal, but go check out all those cases. 17. Belief that auditing can eliminate various physical illnesses. Scientology believes that around 70% of all illnesses are psychosomatic, which makes them responsive to Dianetics auditing. See Dianetics, page 108. Indeed, a Hubbard Communication Office policy letter, revised on October 27, 1982, even states that a chronically ill person, whether the person is known to be connected to a suppressive or not, is always found to have been so connected in PTS. And that's Hubbard PTS, Personnel and Finance, page 460. 18. L. Ron Hubbard's book Dianetics, The Modern Science of Mental Health. 1950. Can you believe this moron, this crazy coot, was talking about mental health? And he's always against the psychs. They call him the psychs. And he's taken every, like antipsychotics, all kinds of drugs he's taking. Speaks directly about the supposed causes of illness. Almost all childhood illnesses are preceded by psychic disturbance, and if psychic disturbance is present, L. Ron Hubbard knows, keeping an engram re-stimulated, such illnesses can be far more violent than they should be. Oh yeah, look at how many people have been killed. Just go check that out. Measles, hold on. Almost all childhood illnesses are preceded by psychic disturbance. And if psychic disturbance is present, keeping an engram re-stimulated, such illnesses can be far more violent than they should be. Yeah, people getting killed. No big deal. Measles, for instance, can just be measles, or it can be measles in company with engramic re-stimulation, in which case it can be nearly or entirely fatal. A check of many subjects on this matter of childhood illness, being predisposed by, precipitated by, and perpetuated by engrams, causes one to wonder just how violent the diseases themselves really are. They have never been observed in a cleared child. A cleared child. Remember how Serge and all these people have talked about when you're going up the bridge and you're doing the auditing, those are the pre-clears? So that just shows you all the children that are getting audited right there. And there is reason to investigate the possibility that childhood illnesses are in themselves extremely mild and are complicated only by psychic disturbance, which is to say the re-stimulation of engrams. Hubbard Dianetics, page 120. Now, I do believe in mind-body connection, but I don't believe all this, what he's saying. And the fact that all these people believe this, it's just scary. 19, the belief that auditing can impact illness continues in the organization. In, for example, the Scientology Monthly Journal, The Auditor, issue 269, published in 1997. Readers receive the process for the common cold. The process involves repeated saying to someone with a cold, "Why haven't you lost lately?" or "Tell me something you have lost." The description of the process ends with the invitation. We want to hear about the miracles that occur when you use this process. American St. Hill Organization, The Auditor, page 5. 20. Moreover, Scientology doctrine also states that a Scientologist touching an injury, infection, or illness can assist in healing or curing, as the Scientology publication indicates. The application of touch assists is not limited to injuries. They are not just for the banged hand or the burned wrist. They can be done on a dull pain in the back, a constant earache, an infected boil, an upset stomach. In fact, the number of things this simple but powerful process can be applied to is unlimited. And that's the handbook, page 211. That's like Reiki healing. I believe in Reiki healing. But you see what they do with the touch assists. They let the grown adults be touching the children. That's disgusting. It's a boundary violation. And it should never, ever happen. Ever, ever. 21. These unorthodox attitudes toward illnesses and healing raise legitimate concerns about whether Scientologists would respond quickly and appropriately if children were to become injured while in their care. Please. 22. Time demands that interfere with parents' time in a manner that adversely affects their children. In the paper that I delivered in Leipzig, Germany in 1997, I documented how the Scientology organization itself becomes functionally a new family for Sea Organization members, often at the expense of the spouses and children. Kent, Scientology, Is This a Religion? Page 15 and 19. In essence, evidence exists that at least in the past, Scientology's long and harsh work demands forced many of its most committed members to perform tasks that kept them away from their children. When an organization such as Scientology apparently places its most committed members under arduous work hours, then concerns exist about similar kinds of time demands placed upon Scientology parents who are not Sea Org members but nevertheless are on staff at local Scientology offices. 23. Possible neglect of children. Oh, it's there, all right. Also, in my Leipzig presentation, I documented instances of probable neglect of children by their Sea Organization's parents. By their Sea Organization parents. Living and play conditions for Sea Organization children seemed poor. Living and play conditions, there are none, for Sea Organization children seemed poor. There are none. At least in the past in some locations. Imagine how many people cover this up. And some children seem to have been neglected while their parents fulfilled their Scientology responsibilities. Some children seemed to have been neglected while their parents fulfilled their Scientology responsibilities. Many more examples of probable instances of child abuse and neglect within Scientology are available on the World Wide Web. I don't know if this is still open. www.taxexemptchildabuse.net. It's called Scientology and Dianetics. Tax-exempt child abuse and neglect. 24. Security checking. On September 21st, 1961, L. Ron Hubbard produced a document entitled Security Check Children. Security Check Children, LAPD. Security check children, LAPD, Child Protective Services, Clearwater PD, Homeland Security, government officials, Immigration and Naturalization Services, consulate offices, and specified it for children whose ages range from 6 to 12 years old. It contained 99 questions by my count, and it leads into them with the statement. The first question is the most potent. That first question is, what has somebody told you not to tell? Other questions include, do you have a secret? What do you guys know what I say about this? That's how they get the blackmail. You think all this stuff with Diddy and all these Hollywood stars and even some of the things going on at the LAPD and all these so-called scandals all revolve around darkness, around secrecy. Have you ever cried when you shouldn't have? Can you imagine asking a child this? Sickening. Presumably, Scientology adults put children through this. Oh, no, they do. There's nothing presuming. Through the security check while the children were on reputedly spiritual counseling device, the e-meter. I have never seen this children's security check canceled, and its existence raises important questions about the extent to which the Scientology organization believes it has the right to intrude into the lives of its children. Thank God somebody had some sense. This is back in what, 1999? Kent is ringing the alarm, man. And nobody's listening. It's unreal. Comments about the other affidavits and statements. 25. In her draft statement, the respondent, name deleted, indicated that her former husband used to sit one of the children, name deleted, down and make him stare at him for as long as a half hour without moving. That's one of their freaking creepy drills that they do. I wish the names were in here. You guys realize a lot of the times they're not hiding the names because they're afraid that Scientology will fair game them. They know they're guilty. It's a fact. At least they don't need parades. This deduction is essentially correct. The Scientology handbook describes the TR training routine. TRO confronting it in the following manner. Training stress, student and coach. Sit facing each other, neither making any conversation or effort to be interesting. They sit and look at each other and say and do nothing for some hours. That's child neglect. Child abuse. False imprisonment. Student must not speak, fidget, giggle, or be embarrassed or fall asleep. Church of Scientology. The Scientology Handbook, page 168. Now do you guys see why they all walk around with this blank stare? Part of it is sleep deprivation, but it's also entrainment of their brains. 26, the respondent, name deleted, of course, right? Also indicated that her former husband, who is the applicant, name deleted, would not let her or anyone else go near their children when they hurt themselves. Isn't that wonderful, you guys? Isn't that just fantastic? As he claimed that speaking to them would create engrams. This is one thing my heart would not let me give into. So it always ended up with him screaming at me and physically trying to push me away from the children. That's mind control, you guys. This behavior follows exactly what L. Ron Hubbard instructed in Dianetics regarding the prevention of engrams, either occurring or becoming associated, keyed in to particular incidents. Well, then why did L. Ron Hubbard have so many engrams? Can somebody, I've got an inquiring mind. Could somebody explain to me why L. Ron Hubbard had so many engrams? I want to know. Preventative Dianetics, then on the level of the individual, asks, for cleared parents and then precaution against the aberrating of the child, and further precaution against the keying in of or any aberration the child might have received. To do this is very easy. Maintain silence in the presence of injury. Do what has to be done for the injured or ill, and do it in silence. Well, and how many accounts have we heard they really don't? A lot of times the children don't get help when they're hurt. Isn't that's fantastic. People can just explain it away all day. Isn't that great? Dianetics, page 193. That's a secret society number, you guys. Go look it up. 193 is a secret society number. 27. Moreover, the applicant's name deleted. Allegedly violent reactions, screaming and trying to push his wife away from the children, is in accordance with Hubbard's instructions. Don't talk around a sick child. If the doctor decides to hold a long, drawn-out conversation around the sickbed, your natural feeling of courtesy or awe might restrain you from doing something about it. But your natural feeling of courtesy or awe may help severely aberrate the child for the rest of his life. A good swift kick in the shin of anybody's talking around a sick child, or almost any physical violence, would be justifiable under the circumstances. Wonder what LAPD thinks about that. LAPD, listen to this. A good swift kick in the shin of anybody talking around a sick child, or almost any physical violence, would be justifiable under the circumstances. Dianetics, page 39. That's a Freemason number as well. 59 and 39. 159 as well. 159 is Freemason, 39 is Mason, 59 is Mason. Zachary K. Hubbard. The applicant's name, alleged behavior and attitude toward injured children, and his alleged behavior toward his wife at the time when she tried to comfort children who were hurt. You see that? They breed no empathy. Was in keeping with Hubbard's directives. 28. Although the applicant, name deleted, has provided an undertaking to the court that he would not indoctrinate the children into Scientology's doctrines, Scientology's policies, which he must follow. Listen to that, LAPD. Scientology's policies, which he must follow. Everyone in LAPD should have these policies. I'm sure you do, right, LAPD? So you can look to see what they're doing in there. Scientology policies which he must follow as a Scientologist would make it necessary for him to attempt to do so were he to have the opportunity. 29. Finally, I must offer a few comments on part of Dr. Brian Wilson's affidavit, who is an expert on behalf of the applicant. Name deleted. Crucial facts are inaccurate, and these inaccuracies allow Dr. Wilson to draw erroneous conclusions. 30. First, Dr. Wilson states that he has discovered no evidence of the operation of an intelligence agency within the Church of Scientology. Actually, abundant information exists about this so-called internal intelligence agency formerly known as the Guardian's Office. Oh, who do we know from there? And now called the Office of Special Affairs, under which works the Department of Special Affairs, a 1988 publication by the Church of Scientology International. Describes the official structure and duties of the Office of Special Affairs as follows. Does anyone know who all worked in the OSA, or the Guardian's Office? Who all works in the OSA? Then and now. We should have a roster of it. The Office of Special Affairs International, OSA INT, is a network which extends through continental liaison offices to org-level Department 20s, the Department of Special Affairs. The OSA network is responsible for handling all external matters of the Church, including legal defense, government, and media relations. to the result of the total acceptance of Scientology and its founder, L. Ron Hubbard. OSA helps create a safe environment for orgs to operate in and expand by their actions. That's from CSI, the Command Channels of Scientology, page 25. And I have a question off the topic here. How is it when you leave Scientology and you take all these Scientology policies and books and all that with you, how is that whistleblowing? How is that whistleblowing? Just sharing with so-called WOGs or outside people what the policies are doesn't blow nothing. I note that this section also states that OSA claims to help orgs expand by keeping them operating fully in accordance with the laws of the land. But recently leaked documents indicate otherwise. You guys see that, laws of the land? You know there's laws of the land and there's laws of the water. 31. Insight into the actual operations of the Office of Special Affairs comes from confidential training documents that Office of Special Affairs personnel had to study in 1991, and which former Department of Special Affairs member, Frank Oliver, currently residing in Florida, has entered as evidence in an American court case between Fact.net and Scientology's Bridge Publications International. The list of documents that members of the Office of Special Affairs Investigations section had to study includes the following. I'm not even going to read all those. Well, we got one for black propaganda. Didn't it look like somebody was just recently following some of these to the T? Almost like he was still in Scientology. Huh, what do I know? Okay, that's all of them. You got here number F as in Frank, counter-espionage. How is, you guys see how they bullshit people? See how they bullshit people? And if you know, you know. A particular interest in the item OSA Invests, 9 July 1991. Frequent flyer club hat, which instructed Office of Special Affairs investigation staff how to call airlines and attempt to get the frequent flyer records of people. Confidentiality breach there, and hence the record of people's trips. Aside from being illegal, this activity is a classic example of Scientology's intelligence gathering activities. Was that supposed to blow the whistle on something? You guys see what I mean? People be bullshitting. 32. While Brian Wilson may not have had ready access to material filed in an American court case, abundant and easily accessible information exists on the internet about Scientology's intelligence agency and operations. www.zeno.net. 33. I note, too, that one of the documents that Office of Special Affairs investigation staff studied was about suppressive persons and groups. Mental illness is real, man, you guys. Its inclusion as a document that Scientologists had to study indicates that both Mr. Christian Zirko, who is an expert, yeah, everybody's an expert, aren't they, on behalf of the respondent, and I are correct in emphasizing, in contrast to Dr. Wilson, the importance of the suppressive person term in assessing how the Scientology organization views the respondent. Hold on, you guys. Dr. Wilson is incorrect when he states categorically, Scientologists are voluntary participants. They always use this. It's their loophole in their religious faith. And then they talk about religious freedom. They always use that. They are not incarcerated. Yes, they are. And they are not subject to a regime of threats and blandishments. Yes, they are. While I could debate the extent to which Scientologists are subjected to various types of threats, As they progress in the organization's rehabilitation project force, and its even more severe rehabilitation project forces, rehabilitation projects force, there he's talking about the RPF's RPF. A lot of the kids are in the RPF's RPF too. United States government officials, they're like, oh, no problem for the kids to be in the RPF's RPF. Meets, in my opinion, the social scientific designation of brainwashing. These two programs put supposedly deviant Scientology organization members, see that members? Children too. Probably including some preteens. Oh, children. No, not probably. There's children in there. Around 11 or 12 years old, they're actually younger. Through regimes of harsh physical punishment, forced self-confessions, social isolation, hard labor, and intense doctrinal study. All as part of leadership-designed efforts to regain members' ideological commitment. Mr. Zirko, an expert on behalf of blank's name, is aware of the Rehabilitation Project Force and refers to a short article of mine on the topic that his counterpart organization in Denmark published in a magazine. Once again, Dr. Wilson, witness for the applicant, seems to be unaware of the Rehabilitation Project Force. Oh, they're playing dumb. They're always good at playing dumb, aren't they? Even though he claims to have read the commentaries and critical accounts of Scientology. Among the best of the critical accounts is by John Atack, an Englishman whose book, A Piece of Blue Sky, Scientology, Dianetics, and L. Ron Hubbard Exposed, was published in 1990. I like his book, but I don't like his lack of common sense. 36, while a little point exists in analyzing Dr. Wilson's dismissal of Dr. Zirko's statements about L. Ron Hubbard's charlatanism. This is getting confusing. Wilson Affidavit, paragraph 16, suffice it to say that Dr. Wilson does not cite the definitive source on L. Ron Hubbard. They never do they? Which is another book written by an Englishman. When biographer Russell Miller published his unsurpassed Hubbard biography in 1987, he revealed his sentiments about Scientology's founder in the title of his book, Barefaced Messiah, a wordplay on the phrase barefaced liar. I make this statement knowing that it will be placed before the court and used in evidence. I confirm that its contents are true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. Imagine how many signed affidavits they have sitting in the various government offices. I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose.